the time you're watching this video, it's probably been about a week or so since I posted my update for my low buy, where I talked about what I bought and what I received since the last time I did a haul video essentially, and I talked about how I am starting a no buy. However, what I also wanted to include in that video was a section where I talked about what I decluttered. Naturally, since I'm talking about what came into my collection, it made sense to talk about what left my collection. However, it would have been a very long video and I did not want to upload that long of a video, and I realized that this segment was long enough to make its own video. I just said video like 5 times in a row, we'll ignore that. But with that said, I hope that you enjoy this. I'm wearing the same shirt, but my makeup look will change and my hair will be slightly greasier. So that is why. But basically, I just wanted to share what I decluttered, why I decluttered it. I won't be going through my collection because I'm not decluttering that many items. I'm not a person who wants to make one of those videos where I declutter my collection in that way. I like watching those videos sometimes, but I'm just not at that place. I'm so careful now with what I buy that most of the items I buy aren't something that I'll be decluttering. But one of the few items that I did buy after my no buy and was hoping it would work for me, and it just didn't, was a highlighter from e.l.f. and I have a picture of it. The color was fine. I forget what color it was, not gonna lie. I just didn't like the formula, and it was interesting because I would try the formula and I like it, and then one day I thought it looked kind of sparkly, and then the next day I use it and I liked it, and I just could never figure out my feelings for it. It wasn't like the Milani one where I was like, yeah, I have a consistent feeling of this is good, I'm fine with this. This highlighter, I was just like, I don't know how to feel, and it was also frustrating because it kind of had thicker packaging like this, so I couldn't store it with my other highlighters, and that was another reason that I didn't want it, because I'm like, this is annoying and I want all my highlighters to be together, and I can't because you're chunky. Why are you this chunky? I don't understand. It wasn't like this. I had a mirror and it was just like thicker for no reason. I gave it to my sister because I knew she was like running out of highlighter, and I'm like, hey, you want to try this out? I know some people love that highlighter, and so I know like it's not like a bad highlighter, it just wasn't my preference. I don't know, it just wasn't it, and that's the only thing that I'm decluttering that I actually bought for myself, at least recently, and it's just one of those things where I don't think I could have prepare myself to avoid that. You just kind of have to try some things on your own, and sometimes you just don't like the formula, you just don't like the product, but on paper you feel like you would and you just don't, and that's okay. It was only $6, so it wasn't like a huge loss. I wish I didn't buy it. It is kind of a regret, but it is what it is. I'm hoping that it'll get some love in its new home, because I just don't think I would ever be able to get my full thoughts settled on it, and I'm perfectly happy with the highlighters I have now. The other decluttered item that I don't have with me is, technically I could get it, but it is a little Eco Tools travel size brush that I got in a set years ago from Ross. I think the set was like $6 or something like that. One brush was the face brush that I decluttered, and the other two I still have. One is this kind of fluffy, thin brush. I really like this for smudgy, kind of linery looks and for under the lash line. And also I have this angled liner brush, always need one of those. And I really like these. Do I wish they were longer? Maybe. But it's fine. I still like them. I still use them. Now, I wasn't planning on getting rid of this brush. However, when my stepmom ordered the Milani products, I don't know why my brain forgot how to speak, she accidentally ordered the wrong blush color, and for some reason Milani would give us a refund, but they're like, don't send it back, even though we kept things sealed. I guess it was just too much of a hassle. The blush color, I would have kept it, but the color was just way too warm and deep and like terracotta shade, and I knew I would never use that for myself, but it actually was a really nice undertone for my stepmom. It was just kind of like the shade that she gets when she tans, and so I'm like, oh, this could look really pretty on you, and she's like, I actually don't have a blush, so cool, how do I use this? And she's like, I don't have a brush, and I was like, oh, let me look. I have brushes, I can spare one, and this one, since it was shorter, it's a bit awkward to store, but I found I was using it less and less, especially now that I have these two similar size. It was a bit wider, and it had the density more similar to this one. And I found that it was a bit too dense for my liking for blush application, but I liked it for blush toppers, but I have brushes that'll work. A part of me was like, oh, I don't want to say goodbye to it. It's such a nice quality brush, but I think it was because of the length, honestly. The way it was short made it harder to store, and I was like, I'm willing to give this one up. So I'm like, here, I have this brush. You can use it for blush. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you can use it well, because I thought it would help her out, and I was like, I really need to get rid of one of these brushes, because I just got 2 new ones. I have a lot of brushes now. So yeah, I said goodbye to that one, not because I didn't like it, but because I have brushes and I didn't need it. I also decluttered another brush, and it is the Wet n Wild crease brush. The words are rubbed off. This is pretty old. But what's interesting is that I had 2 of these. Are you guys seeing the difference? This one, I bought them around the same time too. So they both were $1. I would say $1 well spent in terms of this one, because it is just like it was day one. Very soft, a big fluffy brush, but it's nice to have sometimes. And I had one at each house because I used to live at 2 houses, and so they were working, one at each house. It was fine. And for some reason this past maybe a couple months, I started washing it, and then it would start to have bristles that would just be able to like come out so easily. And after this kept on happening and happening, and was just shedding more than my dog, and that's a lot. It got to the point where it wasn't even useful as it's a weird shape now. It's just interesting. I couldn't use it as an eyeshadow brush. I tried, and it was just so nothing. Like there was so little control because it got so flimsy, but then it wasn't picking that much up, so it didn't actually apply that much color. And it just got a weird shape. It just became useless. So I'm like, I have this brush, so it's fine if I don't have 2, but I just thought it was weird that one of them was holding up so well, and then this guy just fell apart. The reason I still have him is because I don't want to just throw it away. So I'm putting it with my watercolor brushes, and maybe this will work. Now the last 2 items I did not personally buy myself, and they were kind of given to me, so I don't feel like I made a bad purchasing decision, you know? This first one, I had this, I still have it, this giant Beauty Gems palette. I've never heard of the brand. Had a bunch of blushes, and I decluttered the 2 highlighters because they were just sparkly and too dark anyway, and 2 of the blushes because I didn't prefer the colors or the formula, but this one was unique, and I wanted to give it a try, and I just haven't used it at all. As you can see, it is very vibrant, cool-toned, pink kind of shade, and very bright, so I could build it up on the cheeks, but I've had colors like this before, and I have decluttered them. I'm not like a bright pink blush person. I'm not a bright pink lipstick person. I don't even have that many bright pink eyeshadows. I used to love pink. Pink and purple were my favorite colors. I literally had magenta pink walls and a purple ceiling. I don't feel like explaining the purple ceiling. I didn't realize how weird that was until I got older. My room had purple curtains, purple ceiling. I had a reversible bedspread. One side was magenta pink and one was purple. And I had a dollhouse that was, you guessed it, pink and purple. That was a dope dollhouse though. It was tall. Like, it was really tall. Had this elevator that you like crank up and down, like this little wooden elevator. Man, that So cool.
So cool.
Why do I miss that? I don't even have dolls anymore. But, man, that was like one of my furniture pieces was just a dollhouse. Good times, good times. Anyways, I used to like pink and purple. I had a lot of pink and purple clothing, pink and purple everything. Obviously not makeup, because my only makeup as a kid was like those little squeezy tube lip glosses, or like the rollerball lip gloss, and they were all clear or slightly pink. You know how it is. But anyways, I just haven't been reaching for this. And I realized I could get a similar effect if I want a pink that's glowy like this. I can get a somewhat similar effect by using my Milani Rose blush in the shade Romantic Rose. I know it looks, don't even comment on the looks right now. I'm not getting rid of it because I love it anyways. But this is a bit more of a muted pink, which it's basically the only pink blush I have, and I like it because it has that neutral kind of nudish undertones to it where it's not bright. And then if I want something that's more glowy and pinky, I can top it off with the shade Pink Moon in this Pacifica palette, and I can be happy with that pink. And on the cheeks, when this is sheared out, it looked pretty similar. So I'm just gonna dig this out and maybe reuse this pan at one point, but I don't need it. I really don't. And another guy that I've been keeping, like waiting to maybe I'll use it. Maybe one day I'll be someone who uses this. Over a year ago, my mom bought these little Revlon quads, and she's like, yo, do you want these? I found them on sale. And I'm like, there's probably a reason they were on sale, but you never listen to me, even though I keep on telling you that the reason the makeup is on sale is usually because it sucks. Anyways, she just is like, ooh, I like things that are a bargain. I'm like, but when it comes to makeup, the bargain prices usually says something about the quality or the color or something. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Anyways, I used up one of the shades from those Revlon quads. One of them I'm in the process of using up. I put it in Rankins, and then I decluttered 4 of the other shades because they were just not great quality. And this guy was fine. It was from the like gray purple one, and it's just a fine gray. Nothing wrong with it, really. My hands are so dry. But I recently got that Blueberry Muffin palette from BH Cosmetics that has beautifully formulated mid-tone gray, and usually I'm like, ew, gray, dingy. I don't want that in my eyes. But that gray, I'm like, this is a pretty gray. Weird, right? And then I have blacks, and I did a look where I blended the black with the gray, and I was able to get a really nice blend because the quality was great. And I kept on keeping this. I'm like, what if I want a mid-tone gray that's not black, but that's, you know, a bit darker? I can mix that gray and black. I don't need this. I don't. I really, really don't. It's just taking up space. I keep on waiting for the day that I'm going to use this, and I don't think I'm ever going to be that person. I don't think I'm ever going to be the person who needs a charcoal gray. So I'm going to dig that out too and reuse the pan eventually. I'm happy that I only decluttered 5 things this year, and I don't plan on decluttering anything else really. I'm not someone who wants to declutter a ton of stuff, but some things like this brush dyed, these, I'm not a person who does this. The highlighter, what are you gonna do? You just don't like the formula, sometimes that happens. And I gave it to someone else. And the brush was spontaneous, but I'm hoping that it'll get some love and use, and I'm happy to give it to someone who doesn't have any brushes. It is nice to know that almost half the items that I'm decluttering, I didn't even buy for myself, so it makes sense that I wouldn't be super interested in them since I didn't want them enough to buy them myself, if that makes sense. So let me know if you decluttered anything recently and why you decluttered it. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye!